Michael has an avatar. There you are. None of the ladies are here tonight so far. Michael, what's on the wall behind you?
Oh, the picture there? Is something my daughter did. It's a nest with 4 blue robin's eggs in there.
Nice.
And my wife's name is Robin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her four chillin'.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Makes sense.
There's the 5th one back there that's actually me. You can't see it.
Got it.
She raised off of us.
Well, we have a lot of good things to talk about tonight, so let's wait a couple more minutes and see if we can get some more people.
Did you grade the last assignment? I haven't seen that on the website.
Say that again?
How's your vacation?
The last assignment, I haven't seen a grade.
Oh, no, I haven't yet. That's a good reminder. I will do that tomorrow. Let me make a note of that. All right. Alexis, you there?
Hi.
Hey there.
I actually had a question about did you ever get my email about Friday?
No, I don't. Well, hold on. Wait a second. Maybe I did. Let me just check. Alexis. Yeah, I did. And 10 o'clock is fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. Oh, Maggie.
Hi.
Oh, wait, one more minute. Okay. There are those beach chairs again.
Yep. Wish I was there.
Oh, hey, Megan.
Hi.
Glad you could join us.
I'm here.
All the responsible people are here. All right. Okay, like I said, we have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get started. First, some people have yet to make an appointment for taking their final exams. So please let me know when I can expect you on next Friday. Most of you in the live audience have already done this, but that can't be said. The same thing can't be said for everybody in our class. So this is really a reminder for the people watching the recording. All right. Mickey, you made it. Mickey's coming. Mickey?
I'm trying to see if I can hear you guys.
Okay, good. As long as you can hear us. Okay. I want to talk about an end of the course survey that I'm going to send out to you guys. The Waymaker courseware is experimental, and our class is among 10,000 students roughly across the country who are testing Waymaker out to see how effective it is compared to traditional textbooks. I would like to request your help with this assessment. So this weekend, I'm going to email everybody in the class a link to a survey that I would really, really appreciate if you would take. You don't have to do this. It's optional. But you would be helping me out. And if you do this, I will give you extra credit for the course. Most people like extra credit. The survey will ask about how you used Waymaker and what you liked and disliked about it. Again, the purpose is so that we can make it better. In order to link your responses to your course grades, I'm asking for your name on your survey. I have gotten somebody else to actually create the survey, and so I won't have access to the survey responses until after I turn in final grades. What I will get is a list of all the names of people who responded so that I can give out the extra credit. But what you say will not in any way affect your grade because I won't even see the responses until after grades are in. Frankly, I don't care how you respond. You know, I just want you to give me your honest opinion about things. And I have no plans to look individually to see what you said. All I'm going to do is paste your grades onto the survey and then basically throw away the names. This is really important because it will allow me to figure out, or rather relate how you used Waymaker with how you did in the course. This is really important information, and no one else in the country, none of the other classes among the 10,000 students is going to try to obtain data like this. But if we get the data, it's going to help us improve Waymaker and make it more effective at helping students that come next, that come in the future, learn the material in the course. But we'll only be able to do this if you take the survey, so I really, really, really hope that you will help me out and do it. Anybody have any questions about that right now? I mean, it's hard to ask questions when you haven't really seen the survey.
You just said you're just going to send out an email this weekend?
What's that?
It's just going to be an email that you send out this weekend?
It's yes, it is a, the email will give you a link to a survey on Google Forms.
Okay.
And so you just click on the link and it'll take you there, and then you just work through the survey and answer the question. And then, you know, what I plan to do is sync up the order of the surveys with alphabetical order in my class roll, and then just paste your grades up against the surveys and then delete the names, basically. So it'll be as anonymous as I can make it.
Oh.
Okay. Good. All right. I want to talk about key material over the last week. People have said that it helps for me to talk about this stuff in the Hangouts. And I'm going to do it in a slightly different way than the Waymaker platform presents the material. One of the things that I find really interesting about macroeconomics is thinking about it from the perspective of schools of thought. In Waymaker, the different perspectives are kind of boiled down to Keynesian versus neoclassical. I think about it in a little more detail than that. And when we did the intro to macro topic, I gave you my class notes on that. So there are like half a dozen different varieties of economists, all who fall under either neoclassical or the Keynesian perspective. Anyway, the module last week was on monetary policy. And so what I want to do is spend a little time talking about monetarism or monetarist economists. The monetarists were a group of economists in contrast to the original Keynesian economists. They started writing in the late 1950s and into the 1960s. Now that may seem like ancient history to you guys, but in terms of macroeconomics, it's not that long ago. The early Keynesian economists focused on using fiscal policy to speed the economy up and slow the economy down. They weren't opposed in principle to monetary policy. They just didn't think about it that much. The monetarist economists came in and they had a very different perspective. There were 4 main ideas that they had, so I will list them now and then we can talk through them. But I want to, kind of give you a little heads up about what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so number 1, I call money matters most. Okay, number 2, the monetarists thought that fiscal policy was relatively ineffective because of something called the crowding out effect that maybe you've read about already. Number 3, the private sector was inherently stable and self-correcting, which implies that there's no need for government to get in and do anything. And then number 4, the last one, is that government policy, what they described as trying to fine-tune the economy, will not actually help the economy and may likely make it worse. So let's walk through these things. Okay, the first one, money matters most, is the idea that if you really want to get a handle on the macroeconomy, you need to focus on the supply of money and monetary policy. Okay, what they think is the main driving force in the macroeconomy is changes in the supply of money. That when the Federal Reserve changes the supply of money, when the Federal Reserve increases the supply of money, short term, what you get is an acceleration of the economy. You get GDP growing and you get more jobs. But that effect is only temporary. It dies out after a while. And so in the long run, when you increase the money supply, all you're going to get is higher inflation. Okay? So the monetarists believe that inflation is always caused by increases in the money supply. Okay, so again, their point really is that if you don't focus on monetary policy, you're missing 90% of the story. And so whatever you come up with isn't going to be that meaningful. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, and I'm going kind of quickly here because I know that you can rewatch this. Number 2, fiscal policy is ineffective, they believed. And the reason why is because the Keynesian analysis, it wasn't wrong so much as incomplete. Okay, if you remember, the way fiscal policy is supposed to work is, say, the government increases spending, that increases aggregate demand, shifts up the EP line or the aggregate demand curve, and causes GDP to grow. Okay, and so what the monetarists said is that's true as far as it goes, but it's not the whole story. And to get the whole story, you kind of have to look at the money market. The money market has a supply and a demand. Okay, it's just a market. And the price in the money market, or the thing that plays the role of the price, is interest rates, which are, after all, the price of borrowed money. So when the government increases spending and runs a deficit, and that stimulates the economy, GDP goes up, which is good, but the increase in GDP is going to cause an increase in the demand for money. If you think about it, it makes sense. People hold money, people demand money because it facilitates transactions. And as their incomes go up, they want to spend more, and therefore they want to hold more money on average. Okay, so the point here is that one of the results of an increase in government spending or some other kind of expansionary fiscal policy is that money demand rises And for a given supply of money, an increase in demand is going to push up interest rates. Now, higher interest rates then spill back over into the market for goods and services. We know, for example, that business investment is a negative function of the interest rate. So when interest rates rise, business investment falls. And that decrease in investment serves as an offset to the increase in government spending. So the net effect of the fiscal policy is little or nothing on aggregate demand and on GDP. At least that's what the monetarists thought. Okay, so just to kind of summarize again, when we talk about crowding out, what we mean specifically is the decrease in private investment. That's the result of higher interest rates that are caused by an expansionary fiscal policy, like an increase in government spending. So the monetarists basically concluded that fiscal policy doesn't work very well, so you might as well focus on monetary policy if that's what you wanted to do. Okay, any questions about that before we go on? Again, I know I'm moving pretty quickly. All right, hearing none, I will move on. The third point is the monetarists believe that the private sector will fix itself, that recessions, if they occur, will be minor, and they will be self-correcting. So there's no real need for the government to try to fix anything because the private sector will do it on its own. Number 4 has to do with government stabilization policy, in particular what the monetarists call fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is the idea that the government should step in and try to offset every minor little twitch in the economy. If the economy kind of slows down for a week, the government needs to jump in there and pump it back up. And if the economy starts to accelerate a little bit, the government needs to step in and slow the economy down. So that's the idea of fine-tuning. Okay, so the point here that the monetarists made is that fine-tuning actually won't help and is more likely to harm the economy than anything else. And they have a very specific reason for thinking this. The reason is that there are long lags to monetary policy. The Waymaker modules spell out in detail what some of these lags are, but basically the Federal Reserve has to figure out that there's a problem, and that takes time, and then they have to decide what to do, and then they have to wait while whatever they did has an effect on the economy. Okay, so the monetarists looked at the data and concluded that the average monetary policy action takes about 2 years from start to finish. Okay, now since the average post-war recession only lasts 11 months, or even call it a year, then by the time the monetary policy kicks in, the economy's already improving. But it's actually worse than that, because the stimulus kicks in when the economy is already on the mend. And so what that's actually going to do is make the economy blast off at that point. So in an attempt to dampen the cycle that the economy goes through, the monetarists say you're actually going to make it worse. You're going to increase the amplitude so that the recessions will be deeper and the booms will be higher. In short, what they're saying is that monetary policy is very powerful, but it's not a very precise tool, and it's actually going to make things worse. Not only is the lag long, but it has a high variability. So what that means is, while on average monetary policy takes about 2 years to play out, sometimes it happens as quickly as 6 months, and sometimes it takes 3 years. And because they can't predict which case we're looking at, even if they could forecast the future, which they can't do very well, it wouldn't help them because they don't know which kind of lag they're going to be experiencing that time. Okay, so what the monetarists conclude from all of this is, rather than take any kind of an active monetary policy, the economy will be better off if the Fed simply sets the money supply to grow at a constant rate of about 3% per year. Year in, year out, just supply 3% more money every year. Any thoughts on why they picked 3%?
Same as inflation? Same as
Say that again, Michael.
inflation rate. Inflation rate.
The reason why is because 3% is the long-run growth rate of the economy. So if money demand is growing on average at 3% a year, and the Federal Reserve supplies on average 3% a year, then the money supply won't have any effect on the economy on average. And that's what they think is the right way to go. So it's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, because that's the best you can hope for. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. Now, all of that material, without perhaps the references to the monetarists, is in either the module on monetary policy or else the module on policy applications, which is what we're talking about this week. So I kind of segued between those two bits there. Now, I actually do have some good news here for you. I want to mention that there are some parts of Waymaker that are not going to be on the exam, and so you shouldn't spend your time studying them. First of all, there are the two modules, one on elasticity, which we're long past, and one on globalization, which is the last module. Those are both topics that we study in Econ 202, not Econ 201, so you can just ignore those. But more importantly, in the module on policy application that hopefully you're working on this week, there are several sections that just go beyond what we're going to be able to cover, and so don't worry about them. There are three sections in particular. One is number 6. The title is Policy Implications, No Phillips Curve Trade-Off. The next one is number 7, and the title is New Classical Economics and Rational Expectations. And the last one is number 8. It's called Ricardian Equivalence, How Government Borrowing Affects Private Saving. So those are sections that we're not doing, and so they won't be on the exam, and you shouldn't even bother reading them.
Okay.
All right. Unless you want to. In your spare time over the next week and a half. I don't know about you guys. I don't have much spare time.
No.
All right. Last but not least, I wanted to mention that we will have one final Hangout next Wednesday. And the purpose of the Hangout will be to review for the final and to answer any specific questions that you have. All right, so I can tell you a little bit about the final, but what I really want to do next week is answer questions about things you don't understand, okay? So the final exam is going to be very similar format to the first two exams. It's going to be 60 multiple choice, so it's going to be twice as long. About half of that is going to be material that we've studied since the last exam. About a quarter of it is going to be material that we studied for the first exam, and about a quarter is material that we studied for the second exam. Okay, so it's cumulative, but it will emphasize the stuff since the last exam. Okay, please bring a pencil. And if you drink coffee, we have coffee in the Econ House. You might want to bring a cup if you have a favorite cup. Otherwise, we have cups. Some are better than others. Lately, people have been using the coffee cups and putting them dirty in the sink. So I don't know if you feel like cleaning, but anyway, we will have coffee. And the other thing is that I'll be around most of the day. I mean, I'll certainly be around when you show up, but I'll be in and out. So if you have questions about the exam, you can just come up to my office and ask me the questions, and let me decide if I can answer them or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Math problems or formulas.
Say that again.
Math problems and formulas part of the exam.
Michael, you're cutting in and out. I can't hear you very well.
I'm sorry. Math problems.
Math problems? No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. Well, okay. Let me say it differently. The only math problems are things that you'll be able to do on your fingers. So the level of math is going to be very light. The exam is mostly conceptual.
I have a question. Are the exams from like the first one and the second one, are we allowed to use those as study tools, or
Yes.
are they still locked?
Let me do me a favor. Send me an email.
Okay.
And tomorrow morning, I will make sure that they're open so that you can go back and look at them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, that's a great question. Anybody have other questions? Riley, you there?
Yep, I'm actually. She just Megan just answered my question, so.
Good, good.
Are you grading these with a Mark Sense machine or?
Yeah, I am. So I'll have the grades fairly quickly. Okay. My plan is to do them.
All right.
Pretty much by the end of the day.
All right. Does it need to be a number 2 pencil then?
Yes, please. Other questions?
Nope.
Between now and then, I'll be at school on Monday and on Wednesday. And if you need to reach me or you have some questions in the meantime, you can always shoot me an email and I'll get back to you pretty quickly. If you have a complicated question, we could meet in a Hangout, or else we could talk by phone, whatever will work for you.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Well, I'm ready for dinner. So I will talk to you soon. And again, if you haven't sent me an email telling me when you're going to show up for the final, please do that so that I can get you on my list so I won't have to worry. Have a good night.
You too.